Hey there, YouTube. Before I get into the video, let me remind you, if you like my content, please hit that like and subscribe button. And also, if you feel the need to support me, hit me up on my Patreon at patreon.com/uncommonramen, capital U, capital R. I do all of this in my free time, so any amount of support can help me bring more of this content to you more often. Okay, today's deck tech is going to be for Beluna Grandsquall. I was actually challenged to make this deck by a friend who wanted to do a Bant adventure strategy with Gorion, and we had the Beluna laying around, so my challenge was to make a Temur adventure, which is going to be very similar to the Bant one, but, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, Beluna is a 3-cost 4/4, so it's 1 green, 1 blue, 1 red. With an adventure, Seek Thrills for 2, a green, a blue, and a red. It is instant speed, mill 7 cards. Then put all cards that have an adventure from among the milled cards into your hand. And then on the creature side, it is a 4/4 with trample, and permanents you cast that have an adventure cost 1 less to cast. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to be doing a lot of adventure-related stuff and just trying to get a lot of value from that. Let me just get the creatures here, because there's quite a few of those. Right. All right, and we're going to start off with our Amethyst Dragon, 4 and 2 red for a 4/4 with Flying Haste. It has an Adventure Explosive Crystal for 4 and a red, which is sorcery. Explosive Crystal deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. Then we got ourselves a Beanstalk Giant. This is 6 and a green for a star. Beanstalk Giant's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. It has an adventure, Fertile Steps for 2 and a green, a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card, put that card on the battlefield tapped, and then or not tapped. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Interesting. We got Beanstalk Worm for 4 and a green. This is a 5/4 with Reach. It has an adventure, Plant Beans for 1 and a green, which is a sorcery. You may play an additional land this turn. We've got Bone Crusher Giant for 2 and a red. It is a 4/3. When Bone Crusher Giant becomes the target of a spell, Bone Crusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. It has an adventure, Stomp, 1 and a red. It is instant speed. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. We've got Bramble Familiar for 1 and a green. It is a 2/2. You can tap it for green. You can also tap 1 and a green and it to discard a card and return Bramble Familiar to its owner's hand. It has an adventure for 5 and 2 green. It's sorcery speed. Mill 7 cards. Then put a creature, enchantment, or land card from among them onto the battlefield, which is pretty good. We've got Brazen Borrower for 1 and 2 blue. It's got Flash, Flying, and Brazen Borrower can block only creatures with Flying. It is a 3/1. It's got Petty Theft for 1 and a blue at instant speed. Return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. We've got Chancellor of Tales for 3 and a blue. It's a 2/3 with Flying. Whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. We've got Dread Linerm. For 6 and a green, it is a 7/6, and it cannot be blocked by creatures with power 3 or less. It has an adventure, Scale Deflection for 3 and a green at instant speed. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, and to untap it, it gains hexproof until end of turn. We've got Edgewall Innkeeper for 1 green. It is 1/1. Whenever you cast a spell with an adventure, draw a card. Elusive Otter for 1 blue. It is a 1/1 with Prowess. Creatures with power less than Elusive Otters. Power can't block it. It has an adventure, which is Grove's Bounty for X and a green at sorcery speed. Distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. We've got Embereth Shieldbreaker for 1 and a red. It is a 2/1. It has an adventure, Battle Display for 1 red. It is sorcery speed, destroy target artifact. We've got Emerald Dragon for 4 and 2 green. It is a 4/4 with Flying and Trample. It has an adventure, Dissonant Wave. For 2 and a green at instant speed. Counter target activated or triggered ability from a non-creature source. We got Faldorn, Dread, Wolf, Herald for 1 a green or 1 a red and a green. It is a 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. And for 1, you can tap this and discard a card and exile a top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Got Flaxen Intruder for 1 green. It is a 1/2. Whenever Flaxen Intruder deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, destroy target artifact or enchantment. It has an adventure for 5 and 2 green. Welcome Home. It is a sorcery speed, and it creates 3 2/2 green bear creature tokens. We've got Frolicking Familiar for 2 and a blue. It is a 2/2 with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Frolicking Familiar gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It has an adventure for 1 red. Blow off steam at instant speed. Blow off steam deals 1 damage to any target. Got Galvanic Giant for 3 and a blue. It is a 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell with a mana value of 5 or greater, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. It has an adventure for 5 and 2 blue, Storm Reading. It is an instant speed. You draw 4 cards and then discard 2 cards. We've got Horned Lockwhale for 4 and 2 blue. It is a 6/6 with flash and ward 2. Horned Lockwhale enters the battlefield tapped unless it's your turn. And it has an adventure, Lagoon Breach, for 1 and a blue at instant speed. The owner of target attacking creature you don't control puts it on top or bottom of their library. Got Hypnotic Sprite for 2 blue. It is a 2/1 with flying. It has an adventure, Mesmeric Glare, for 2 and a blue. Counter target spell with converted mana cost 3 or less. We've got Illithid Harvester for 4 and a blue. It is a 4/4 with Ceramorphosis? Yeah. When Illithid Harvester enters the battlefield, turn any number of target tapped non-token creatures face down. They are 2/2 horror creatures. It has an adventure, Plant Tadpoles, for X and 2 blue. At sorcery speed, tap X target creatures. They don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. We got Lovestruck Beast for 2 and a green. It is a 5/5, and it can't attack unless you control a 1/1 creature. It has an adventure, Heart's Desire, for 1 green. Create a 1/1 white human creature token. Got Lozan, Dragon's Legacy, for 3, a blue, and a red. It is a 4/2 with flying. Whenever you cast an adventure spell or dragon spell, Lozan, Dragon's Legacy deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target that isn't a commander. We got Merchant of the Veil for 2 and a red. It is a 2/3. You can pay 2 and a red and discard a card to draw a card. It has an adventure, Haggle, for 1 red at instant speed. You may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. We've got Moonshae Pixie for 3 and a blue. It is a 2/2 with flying. When Moonshae Pixie enters the battlefield, draw cards equal to the number of opponents who were dealt damage this turn. It has an adventure, Pixie Dust, for 1 and a blue at instant speed. Up to 3 target creatures gain flying until end of turn. Got Picnic Ruiner for 1 and a green. It is a 2/2 whenever Picnic Ruiner attacks while you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Picnic Ruiner gains double strike until end of turn. It has an adventure, Stolen Goodies, for 3 and a green at sorcery speed. Distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. We got Questing Druid for 1 and a green. It is a 1/1 whenever you cast a spell that's white, blue, black, or red. Put a +1/+1 counter on Questing Druid. It has an adventure, Seek the Beast, for 1 and a red. At instant speed, you exile the top 2 cards of your library until end of your next turn. You may play those cards. Got Rosethorn Acolyte for 2 and a green. It's a 2/3. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. It has an adventure, Seasonal Ritual, for 1 green at sorcery speed. Add 1 mana of any 1 color. Got Sage of the Beyond for 5 and 2 blue. It is a 5/5 with flying. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 2 less to cast. It has Foretell for 4 and 2 blue, or 4 and 1 blue. Got Sapphire Dragon for 5 and 2 blue. It is a 5/6 with flying. Whenever Sapphire Dragon attacks or blocks, scry 2. Has an adventure, Psionic Pulse, for 2 and a blue at instant speed. Counter target non-creature spell. Got Scalding Viper for 1 and a red. It is a 2/1. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value 3 or less, Scalding Viper deals 1 damage to that player. It has an adventure, Steam Clean, for 1 and a blue. At sorcery speed, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. We've got Sentinel of Lost Lore for 1 and 2 green. It is a 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1 or more. Return target card you own in exile that has an adventure to your hand. Put target card you don't own in exile that has an adventure on the bottom of its owner's library. Or exile target player's graveyard. Got Stormkeld Vanguard for 4 and 2 green. It is a 6/7 Stormkeld Vanguard. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. It has an adventure, Bear Down, for 1 and a green. At sorcery speed, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Got Storyteller Pixie for 3 and a blue. It is a 3/3 with flying. Whenever you cast an adventure spell, draw a card. Got Sword Coast Serpent for 5 and 2 blue. It is a 6/6 Sword Coast Serpent. Can't be blocked as long as you've cast a non-creature spell this turn. It has an adventure, Capsizing Wave, for 1 and a blue. At instant speed, return target creature to its owner's hand. We've got Tempest Heart for 3 and a green. It is a 3/4 with trample. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Tempest Heart. It has an adventure for, Scan the Clouds for 1 and a blue. At instant speed, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Got Teamer Sabertooth for 2 and 2 green. It is a 4/3. You can pay 1 and a green, and you may return another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Teamer Sabertooth gains indestructible until end of turn. This one is a good one. We have, I want to say, Tlinkali Hunter for 5 and 2 green. It is a 7/7 with trample. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost of a creature spell you cast from exile. It has an adventure, Retrieve Prey, for 1 and a green. At sorcery speed, exile target creature card from your graveyard until end of your next turn. You may cast that card. Got Two-Headed Hunter for 4 and a red. It is a 5/4 with menace. It has an adventure, Twice the Rage, for 1 and a red. At instant speed, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. We've got Wild Magic Sorcerer for 3 and a red. It is a 4/3. The first spell you cast from exile each turn has Cascade. We've got Young Blue Dragon for 4 and a blue. It is a 3/3 with flying. It has an adventure, Sand Augury, for 1 and a blue. You get, at sorcery speed, you can scry 1, then draw a card. And then finally we have Young Red Dragon for 3 and a red. It is a 3/2 with flying, and it cannot block. It has an adventure, Bathe in Gold, for 1 and a red. At instant speed, you can create a treasure token. Okay, next up we're going to take a look at instants. There aren't very many instants and sorceries because we spared a lot of spots for creatures. We got Beast Within for 2 and a green. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 beast creature token. Chaos Warp for 2 and a red. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into his or her library, then reveals the top card of his or her library. If it's a permanent card, he or she puts it onto the battlefield. Got Counterspell for 2 blue. Counter target spell. Got Familiar's Ruse for 2 blue. As an additional cost to cast Familiar's Ruse, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. Counter target spell. And then we got, is that the last one? Yeah. Growth Spiral for 1 green and 1 blue. Draw a card. You may play an additional land from your hand onto the battlefield. Next up is sorceries. Got Blasphemous Act for 8 and a red. This spell costs 1 less for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. Got Candlekeep Inspiration for 4 and a blue until end of turn. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are instants, sorceries, and or have an adventure. We've got Cultivate for 2 and a green. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put 1 onto the battlefield tapped. Put the other into your hand, and then shuffle. We've got Farseek for 1 and a green. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain. Put that onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Got Kodama's Reach for 2 and a green. Search your library for 2 basic land cards. Reveal 1. Put 1 onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. We've got Nature's Lore for 1 and a green. Search your library for a forest card. Put that card onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. Next up, we have Artifacts. I think that's all, yeah. Okay, we have Arcane Signet for 2. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color of your commander's color identity. We've got Chromatic Lantern for 3. Lands you control have tapped to add 1 mana of any color, and you can tap it for 1 mana of any color. We've got Crystal Shard for 3. You can pay 3 and tap it, or you can pay blue and tap it to return target creature to its owner's hand unless its controller pays 1. We've got Lucky Clover for 2. Whenever you cast an adventure, instant, or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy, sorry. Got Monster Manual for 3 and a green. You can pay 1 and a green to tap it and put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. It has an adventure, Zoological Study for 2 and a green. It's sorcery speed. Mill 5 cards, then return a creature card milled this way to your hand. We've got Soul Ring, costs 1. You can tap it to add 2. We got Swiftfoot Boots, costs 2. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste and equips for 1. We've got Two-Handed Axe, costs 2 and a red. Whenever equipped creature attacks, double its power until end of turn. Equips for 1 and a red. Has an adventure, Sweeping Cleave for 1 and a red. At instant speed, target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. Okay, next up we have Enchantments. Forgot to mention there are 2 cards in here that are in the mail, that have been in the mail for, at this point, weeks. So I have a couple proxies in there for it, starting with Cunning Evasion. I'll try to get the image up there for you. Cunning Evasion is 1 and a blue. It is an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to its owner's hand. We've got Extraordinary Journey for 2X and 2 blue. Whenever Extraordinary Journey enters the battlefield, exile up to X target creatures. For each of those cards, its owner may play it for as long as it remains exiled. Whenever 1 or more non-token creatures enter the battlefield, if 1 or more of them entered from exile or was cast from exile, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Sorry, this is the first time I've seen that card. Passionate Archaeologist for 1 and a red. Commander creatures you control you own have, whenever you cast a spell from exile, this creature deals damage equal to that spell's mana cost to target opponent. We got Temur Ascendancy for a green, a blue, and a red. Creatures you control have haste. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. We got Virtue of Knowledge for 4 and a blue. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It has an adventure, Vantress Visions, for 1 and a blue. At instant speed, copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. We've got Virtue of Strength for 5 and a green. 5 and 2 green. If you tap a basic land for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. It has an adventure, Garenbrig Growth, for 1 green. At sorcery speed, return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. So that should be the last of the enchantments. And then we go into non-basic lands, and again, we have 1 non-basic land sitting in the mail. I don't know why it's not here yet, but it definitely should have been here by now. Starting with our Breeding Pool. It is a shock land for blue-green, and it has basic land typings. We've got Cinderglade, which is a check land for red-green and has basic land typings. We have Command Tower, which adds a mana of any color of your commander's color identity. We've got Edgewall Inn, which enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, choose a color. You can tap it to add 1 mana of the chosen color, and you can also pay 3 and tap it to sacrifice it and return target card with an adventure from your graveyard to your hand. We've got Evolving Wilds. You can tap it to sacrifice it to search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. We got Exotic Orchard, which adds 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. We got Frontier Bivouac. Enters tapped and is a Triome for green, blue, and red. We've got Hinterland Harbor, which is a check land for blue-green. We've got Ketria Triome, which is a Triome for green, blue, and red. Enters tapped. You can cycle it and has basic land typings. We have Rejuvenating Spring, which is a crowd land for blue-green. We've got Reliquary Tower, which says you have no maximum hand size and taps for colorless. We've got Rockfall Vale, which is a check land for red-green. We have Rootbound Crag, another check land for red-green. We have Spire Garden, which is a crowd land for red-green. We have Steam Vents, which is a pain land for blue-red. We have Stomping Grounds, sorry, not pain land, shock land. This is a shock land for blue-red with basic land typings. We have Stomping Grounds, which is a shock land for green-red with basic land typings. We have Sulphur Falls, which is a check land for blue-red. We have Training Center, which is a crowd land for blue-red. And finally, we have Yavimaya Coast, which is a pain land for green-blue. All right, next up, we're going to look at basic lands. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 islands. And then we have 1, 2, and 3 mountains. So this is going to be the Beluna Grandsquall Teamer Adventure deck. We want to slam out as many adventures as possible and get value off of them with things like the Chancellor or the Storyteller Pixie or the Lucky Clover, Edgewall Innkeeper. We want to try and reoccur some of these really good adventures using things like the Edgewall Inn to bring them back from the graveyard, or several different cards in here that bounce the creature back to your hand, like for instance the Crystal Shard or the Cunning Evasion, so that we can reoccur the value of those adventures, and in general just try and burn down our opponents with as much adventure value and creature value as we possibly can get. Yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below, but keep it positive. I will remove negative comments. And yeah, until next time, guys. Peace.